Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of What the Systems, where we showcase amazing coaches, agency owners, entrepreneurs that are doing amazing things in their industry. Today, I have Jamaul here as our guest. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey man, forgot to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Where exactly are you based out of?
Beautiful Austin, Texas, but don't come down here. We're too crowded already.
Yeah, I feel like everyone, especially since the pandemic, everyone's just moving to Florida and to Texas and everything. Are you originally from Austin?
Born and raised. Now we have
Ooh.
Tesla, the professional football team, F1 track. I need to be quiet. It's not that good, promise you. It's busy though. Yeah, I've been here since 82. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Have you been out in the East Coast anytime before? I live in New Jersey, so I was curious to know if you've been out here.
Man, I have never traveled to any other place outside of just California and Texas. That's it. You know, I've been to Europe and overseas, but not really traveled the U.S. So I haven't been over to the East Coast yet. But heard
Gotcha.
there's some real cool stuff going on in New York. I don't need to get out there.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I mean, I feel like I take it for granted because like I'm literally 30 minutes away from New York City. And so like I was there almost all the time before the pandemic. And dude,
Yeah,
the traffic is not something that you want to be in. I'll tell you that. The traffic is the worst thing about New York. You
yeah.
literally try to go from one block to the other, it'll probably take you like 20 minutes.
See, that's
Yeah.
not my style. I'm too much on the go. All I
Yeah.
know is that everybody moves fast. Everyone's on their phone. So I
Yep.
probably fit right in.
Yes,
Walk
sir.
through.
Yes, sir. So let's dive right in, man.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Talk to me. Like, how I always like to start off this question, and it's basically, how would you professionally identify yourself to someone if you were to meet them at a party? Like, what would you tell them?
I mean, you know what? I tell them that I make systems for people. I make online scalable systems. I help you turn what you're doing into something that's automated, so you can help more people and grow and scale. You know what? Most people have no idea what that means, right?
I was gonna
When I
say,
tell
what
them
do
something
you
like that.
expand on that a little bit? Like, what do you mean when you say I help build systems and help scale businesses? Like, for the person that doesn't understand that, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. The look on people's face. The next question is, what does that mean? It's really getting with people. Everyone has a business online, and when they're working with their clientele and their base, my biggest thing is helping people get their information in the hands of people, as quickly as possible. So if you want to help someone, I want to create the systems to help you get that message in front of the most people as possible, help those people consume your message, and then help you follow up with them to build a relationship and eventually, build sales, clients, build a following. And all of that can be done automatically online, with simple tools and things like that. So when people get online and they start to think about, how do I tell someone about what I do? How do I help someone, overcome this challenge or build this, overcome this fear? That's when we step in, right? Because I want to take your one message and I want to put it in front of the masses. And there's ways to do that without having to make 100,000 posts all day and be tied to your phone. So it's really freedom.
Absolutely.
It's what we sell. We build freedom. I call it freedom system. So
Oh, I love
like
that.
that.
I love that. There's an acronym for systems, and it stands for serve yourself time, money, and energy, or
Yeah.
energy and money. And yeah, I'm a big systems guy, just like yourself as well. And as hence the name of the podcast, What the Systems. I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of the times I speak to business owners or just people in general, right? Like I'm sure you've had it too, where people are confused, like what exactly is a system? And system is such a broad word that I feel like people think of systems differently than as us as agency owners, entrepreneurs, business owners. How would you be able to dumb it down for someone in terms of like what it actually is a system?
I always tell people about hopscotch. Remember that game you used to play back in the day when
Yep.
you had the squares from 1 to 6, and it was 1 foot, 1 foot, 2 foot, 1 foot. Every time I break it down for people, I mean, think about a system as a hopscotch game, right? There are steps that people are going to take to go from start to finish, and they're always in order. And if you follow that hopscotch and you do it just right, you're going to end up on the other side. So the same thing happens with your business, right? If you bring someone in at step one, if you have a system in place, you can move them from step 1 to step 6, or from new, never knowing about you to a customer, just by following the exact same process. So systems really, I think what the biggest confusion most people have is that if I have a system, I'm going to be able to get, grow my business and scale and make $1 million, right? But I tell people, you run the system. right? The system is your process. It's how you engage with your customers, how you engage with your clients, and just creating something that allows you to deliver something consistent, right? So that you can consistently get people through the right process. So when people talk about, like, if I still don't get it, like, what is it? I say, think about how you make a sandwich. You get the bread out, you pull out the peanut butter, peanut butter jelly sandwich. You go through a process every single time. And if you follow that process, you get the same wonderful tasting peanut butter and banana sandwich, right, that you love. That in itself is a system. It's a process, right? It's just something that people follow to get a specific result. So, and what's so crazy is we have them in our lives every day, right? You have a system for running your day. Maybe your system has you wake up in the morning and read a book, or wake up and then brush your teeth, or wake up and go through a certain process that produces a specific result. You're ready for work. You're ready for your day. And that in itself is a system. But you still have to do the work, right? You still have to design it, and you have to come up with it. So systems are everywhere around us. These processes are. What we do is help you create the right system so that you can maximize your business and maximize your exposure with your customers.
That's awesome, man. I love the way you broke it down. The analogy of how of specifically the sandwich one, because I use that one too. I use the McDonald's analogy because everyone knows McDonald's, and everyone knows that they get a Big Mac or a cheeseburger. It always comes out the same, whether it's in Austin or here in New Jersey. It's still the same tasting Big Mac. And I love the way you broke it down. And I guess for you specifically, how did you get into systems? Like, what was it about systems, or just the idea of creating something that allows a business owner, anyone, to do their job or whatever is more efficiently and better? Like, how'd you come up? If you could talk a little bit about that.
You know what, man, this is probably the part that surprises most people, right? I'm a real creative guy. I design websites. I am a total spontaneous type of guy. And when you think about systems, it's more of process, it's analytical, it's more of a detailed type of personality trait. So by nature, I love to be creative. What I found out is, as I was starting to build my speaking and coaching business, I started to look around and I noticed that there were certain things that everyone had in place. Every speaker, every coach, they all had a funnel. They all, when I clicked into the email, like, I got follow-up email. I went to sales pages, and I was just amazed at how, people were able to sell things online. Now, for me, I wasn't able to create systems, but I had really nice looking websites, right? So how I got into systems was really something that a lot of gurus would probably tell you not to do, is I started to look at my competition and judge, right? That's something that you hear people say, is don't look at your competition. I did that because for two reasons. One, it set the bar. I got to look and see, hey, there's people out there who are doing it, and it inspired me to do it myself. Two, it put me on an investigative mindset. It made me start to search and find out, okay, if this person who I just saw pop up on the scene 2 months ago, I just saw their YouTube channel, right? And now they have 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, and they're hosting an event on a boat in a cruise in Bali. Like, how did that happen? Like, I've been doing this a lot longer. And I started to break it down, and I realized that systems are the level field. You can be a brand new coach with no experience, or an experienced coach with thousands of clients. And the system can make or break your business. You can take someone with no business, just getting started, implement a well-defined system, and they can scale their business in 90 days faster than someone with book smarts, experiences, and PhDs. And I noticed that, right? Because I was the guy who said, you know what, these sites aren't even that great, but man, their systems are fire. Like, they're working. Everybody's in them. So I started to reverse engineer the systems. And right now that term is called funnel hacking. But back then we did it the hard way, right? We didn't have the fancy builders and page builders. We had to literally write down everything and receive the envelope in the mail of the postcard and follow it that way, right? So I started to break down the systems, and I realized that it's the same thing every time. People are opting in, they're getting emails, they're telling stories, they're going to a checkout page, they're buying something, and then I started to piece that together. And that's when I found funnels. And from that moment on, everything changed for us. We went from just being people online trying to market our services and tell everybody what we do, to working down to our last $500 in 2018 and managing to go from $500 in the bank to making over six figures in the next 4 to 5 months, using a system and simply spreading our message. So the two systems in place that really allowed us to transition, it all started from comparing ourselves to others and getting inspired, right? And then doing the investigative work we needed to do to find out why is it working for them and not us, right? And that led us to the systems. So there's hope out there for you, right? Folks out there who are just getting started, there is hope for you to be able to take your business anywhere you want, if you're able to understand what the systems are. This is why I love your podcast, man. I mean, this is excellent. So
yeah, appreciate it. And that's honestly that in itself, going from 500 to 6 figures in 4 months. I mean, dude, once you've realized the skill set of what it is when you're solving problems and you're putting systems in place, like you can pretty much leverage that for the rest of your life and make money from it, especially now in the world that we're in, where everything is transitioning to online, not because of COVID, but also because it's just the way it is, because social media and everything. And so it's just a matter of, what you're going to do with that skill set, right? And for you, you took that 500 and turned it into 6 figures in 4 months. How were you able to do that? If you can hone in on that a little bit, like,
absolutely.
because obviously you have, and I don't know how you went about it, but generally speaking, the way I would go about it is you got to find a niche, right? You have to find product market fit, and then you got to deliver the results. So I'm curious to know a little bit about what you did and how you went. What was your game plan when you decided to take that 500 and take it to 6 figures?
Well, you know what? It was pretty it was pretty unexpected, to be honest with you, right? So the system that I saw in place was organic marketing, right? After learning the funnels and seeing that in place, I started to learn, I personally wasn't able to do any paid traffic. I didn't have the ability to do that, which is a system in its own, right? But organic marketing was something that I saw I could do. I had time after work. I was able to write posts and I was able to be available. So instead of, taking the time to buy the keyword tools and do the market research and do the traditional route, I've always been lucky enough to do things my way, and somehow it's worked out. So what we incorporated was a system of simply commenting on people's requests in our niche that we were serving, and over delivering the value. And then after over delivering the value, being available. And it was something that absolutely changed the culture of several groups that we were a part of, because we saw an opportunity in the market where people were gathered and experts would chime in the group and say, hey, I can show you how to do this, send me a PM, right? We've seen that before.
Yep.
Hoping that people message you and hoping you get that business.
Yep.
I was like, you know what? Why don't we just go ahead and just answer the question right here, right? No PMs, no DMs, boom. So I would take out my videos and I would record a desktop screen and I would just answer the question technically of the questions they had. All the things that I have learned from building systems and stuff like that. So what I started to do is share what I've learned. And that's something that we call the light method, which is a system in itself. You learn something, you implement it for yourself, which is key. Once you test it, so you get results, and then you can explain it to others. And see, what most people fail to do is they will learn something, they won't implement it for themselves, and they'll skip directly to, exploring it and sharing that with other people, without the two most important parts: implementing it for yourself and testing it, because that's where the systems are made, right? That's where you're able to find the consistent things you do every day to make your system. So our system was go in every day, comment as many times as possible, and be as transparent and as thorough as possible. And at the end of every post, I left 1 or 2 lines that said, if you need help with this, comment below. I'm more than happy to help you out. No PMs. What it did was it showed people that we were available, and it showed our credibility, and it put us at the forefront of every post in every group because we got the most likes and comments. So when you went to a group and you saw the most active post, it was ours. It was somebody else's, but it was our comment. Yeah. It had all the likes on it. And then you scroll to the next post, it was our comment with all the likes on it. Eventually people said, this guy must know what he's talking about. And that's when I started to get PMs saying, hey, do you charge to do this? And that's when our agency was born. So we quit our jobs after getting the first 3 clients. It was more than me and my wife made total in the last 3 months. So we quit our jobs. And from that point on, we started to focus full time. And that's how we were able to pretty much, generate that income. We actually did it without a website, without a funnel, and without any ads. So the traditional system wasn't there. But every day I woke up, I commented. Every day I spent at least a couple of hours replying to those comments, recording screen videos. And then I set aside time to book appointments. So when people reached out, I was like, yeah, I do that for you. I can help you out with that. You got 20 minutes to talk tomorrow? Boom, we're on a meeting. So all of that stress and struggle that came from trying to be and do and build a certain way and use someone else's system, we recognized how important it was. We just made our own. To this day, my sales team follows the same process. I comment, people come in, that gets sent over to our sales team, they qualify, and then they get on the phone with myself and we'll close. So it's still the same system that we used from the beginning, and it works, man. I mean, I love it.
You have no idea, man, how valuable what you just said, how valuable that is to the people that are getting started just now, or even the ones that are already running 5, 6, 7-figure businesses, because that's exactly how I found you, man. No
Yeah,
joke. That's exactly how I found you.
Yep.
I think we were in the same group. I saw you commented. I think you did a long ass post. I was like, holy fuck, I'm gonna read this. And I read it. And then next thing you know, I just like, who is this guy? I clicked on your profile, and there was so much content in your profile, your Facebook profile, that I automatically, again, I'm talking from my perspective, so you also understand, and the people that are watching here also understand that automatically. I had no idea who you were, but because you had so much content and you had engagement, I saw you as an authority or someone credible that knew what they were doing. So what you did, dude, is honestly the whole people. Oh my God, dude! Like I'm gonna run with that for myself, and I recommend anyone who's watching to do the same thing, because that's exactly how I met Jamaul. It's exactly how he's on this podcast today. And so not only do you provide value, you learn people, you make connections, and better all, you can actually solve people's problem and make money from it. And so, dude, that is awesome. How long ago has it been since you quit your job? Like when like, do you remember? I'm sure you
Oh
do.
yeah, absolutely. I keep the email. So it was October 14th, which is just, our anniversary just passed. October 14th, 2018 is when we quit. So,
Wow.
what's funny, and I'll tell you this because I really want people who are listening to understand, there is no problem in doing things your way, right? We put in a lot of work to get to a point to that realization that people just want you to be available. And if you express and show that you know what you're talking about, and you are available to have those conversations, you're not trying to posture up and have all these other, go to my calendar link and pick a time, right? I used to hate that so much, right? If you're on the chat with me right now, open your calendar yourself, book a call with me, right? And so we realized that, especially during COVID, people just really want to meet real people, and they really want to hang out with real experts. And so I know you have a lot of people listening who know a lot of stuff, but they may not have the credibility, the website, or track record as other experts out there. But if you're willing to share that content and create your own system of inbound communications, you can absolutely turn those around. To this day, I will say that 99% of every client we've ever closed has come in from an inbound chat. Every relationship online we've built has come in from an inbound chat. And I have personally, and none of mine on my team, no one in our company has ever sent a cold message to anyone asking for business or service or anything whatsoever, because we don't feel that that's the best way to communicate with people. Our system says we will attract people who are looking and hungry for information, and we will give them an opportunity to take the next step by always providing some call to action or some bridge to the next step. And if that next step isn't us, that's okay. But we want to make sure that we have a viable solution for them, either from our referral network or a partner, so that we know they're being taken care of. And I think it was the ability to lose the sale up front, but gain a customer, if that makes sense. So we lose the sale, but we would always gain a customer somehow through that process. That became a system for us. So our company is inbound only, by referral only. And if you haven't communicated or been referred by us, typically you probably won't even know we exist, because we don't have anything formal. We don't have a price list out or a portfolio. Our system is people. We're working with people. So we're systemizing conversations, we're systemizing follow-ups, and we're systemizing our closing techniques. But it's all centered around people and communicating. So that's probably been our most valuable system out of any funnel or tool or anything we've ever used. It's having a system in place to what I call spark conversations and go from comment to close. And that's really what we're focusing on: comment to close, comment to close. How do I turn this comment or reply into a conversation, of booking, or closed client, right? And just systemizing that process. So yeah, it's been really cool, man. And today I still build systems for people physical systems, like the actual funnels and automations. That's my love.
I
I've
love that.
fell in love with that, dude. It's so much fun, man. It's so cool. So yeah, it's been a good journey, man. It really has. So
What softwares and tools do you use?
so we have right now I have ReplyHawk. So I started out, I've used them all. I used to tell my wife that WordPress was my mistress, and I spent more time saying WordPress than I did her name. So then me and WordPress got divorced, and I moved over to Kartra. I was with Kartra for 3 years. Kartra was actually, I would say my second love, third love, if you want to call it, because it's how I built my business. Right? It's the tool that I learned that I then systemize conversations to grow my business. But since then we've evolved, and now we have our own funnel software called ReplyHawk, right? Which is my baby, right? So everything that I couldn't get through the other tools, I've managed to put them all in one and have an actual fully automated system. So it's been great because ReplyHawk is part of our system. That's why it's so important, because ReplyHawk was there to help us automate the conversations, create the lead magnets that people wanted to consume, have access to follow up with people, and make sure that we are always on top of what's important to them and not what's always important to us, so that we can have meaningful conversations and actually close people, or should I say open relationships that actually lead to long-term retainers, services, referrals, and things like that. So ReplyHawk came out of, okay, here's our system. Now, how can I take this and duplicate this? Because I personally can't talk to everybody.
Right.
And that's where that tool came in. So your systems, they're gold, right? But you are the one who defines your system. There isn't like a systems Walmart you can go to and be like, hey, can I get a system that converts 9 out of 10 customers? I'm like, yeah, aisle 3. It's not like that, because you have to create it.
Yep.
So that's why I tell people, beware of buying into other people's systems, and just focus more on what do you do daily to drive your business? Okay, now what are those processes? Now, how can I take that and automate it? Boom, I got a system, right? I have a new employee that works for me 24/7 without pay. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing. So right now we're on ReplyHawk. That's what we're using. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, dude, I love everything that how you're breaking everything down is honestly, it makes sense for the everyday people, the ones that are actually want to get into ReplyHawk or just want to learn a little bit more about systems. So you use ReplyHawk. Any other tool besides ReplyHawk that you use that is sort of like your baby as well?
I have another tool that's even easier for people who don't want to learn all the systems quite yet, because don't get me wrong, right? I mean,
Yeah.
just like digital marketing, there's 8 tentacles that feed that octopus. So you can't be great at all of them. Same thing with systems. There's so many different tools. So I wanted a way for people to create a page, a website, without having to learn expensive tools or software or get a degree in technical stuff. So we created link streams. And link streams is a mobile page builder, since most of our traffic is on mobile and social media, that allows you to create landing pages, sales pages, videos, and courses that are mobile optimized just by dragging and dropping, right? So not any of the technical stuff, columns and widths and CSS that everybody used to learn before. So basically, if you can do a puzzle or play Sudoku, then you can build a landing page. And there's my little one coming in. She's going to take over the room here. So I
love it. I love it. No worries.
But yeah, that's how that works. Hey, that's what she's like. I don't want to be on video. That's the beauty of this stuff, though, man. I mean, it's 3:00 on a Thursday. My daughter has never been in daycare since she was born, and my wife hasn't worked a day since my daughter's been born. Right. So if you look at the time, she spent 8 hours a day with our child.
Yeah.
Most people don't spend 4 hours after work, right? Especially if their kid goes to bed at 8 or 9. So we have spent like 6 years worth of time with her that a regular, average person who had to work and do all that stuff would have spent with their child. So the relationships and the family bond that we've built from having systems in place to allow me to spend time with her and, have interviews with you and not have to be at work sitting in traffic. That's what it's about, really, right? So if people, what do systems mean and what are they? It's freedom. It's freedom of lifestyle, freedom of choice. It's freedom, freedom to grow and freedom to chill, right? So you got to have a system.
Yeah.
Right? You got to have a system in place. So you're either running a system or being run by one. So you got to choose a side.
Oh yeah, 100%. Whether whether you're in the 9 to 5 system, because that's a system in itself, right? The rat race, or you take control of your destiny. You got to take control, take full ownership of things. One thing that I wanted to get more clarity on, like what exactly do you offer to your clients?
So right now we have a range of services. If people come in and they simply need help building a page or just one part of their system, we'll definitely help them with that. But we've also moved on to helping people create fully branded online training systems, helping Fortune companies create back offices, HR, things like that. So we handle everything from copywriting to marketing to digital design to graphic design. It's a full on in-house one-stop shop. You're just gonna take it all, huh? She threw up a balloon. So I think what's nice about it is I tell my customers, my clients, to think about going into a room and saying, hey, here's everything that I thought about doing. Here's all the stuff that I've kind of created that didn't quite work. Here's access to my Canva that I've created some stuff that isn't quite finished. Here's this Google Drive where my ideas are partially read out. Here you go. And we take all of that and we're like, wow, well, you have a 8-week course, 12-week membership and a mastermind here, and we look at that. But what we really do is we help them expand and solidify that idea. And then we help them duplicate and magnify, right? So we create that base, which is your stage. And then we help you fill that building with all the people who love, and want to be there with you, and sell to them. So it's all hands off. So if you have no idea about anything, you're just like, I know I want to do this. When you leave our services, we'll hand you over a completely fully automated branded system that you can then start sharing with your friends and family. So
is there a specific industry, vertical, horizontal, that you focus on?
Yeah, we typically work with coaches, consultants, and agencies. Honestly, I just work with people that I've done stuff with. I am such a firm believer in, I could go and research another industry, but I only work with people and the stuff that I've done. I feel that anyone you follow, that should be the case too. I will only teach you stuff that I've either done myself or have experience on myself. So I've ran an agency. I've coached, people the last 3 years, and I definitely have courses. I have so many courses and master classes and memberships online. So those are the things that I help, but those are people I attract. Because people will always want to do what you do, right? So never forget, your clients, they don't just want their system, they want exactly what you have. That's why they're coming to you. They saw what you can do and what you have done. They want a piece of that as well. So I never forget that. The people we serve are just like where we are. And guess what? That's why I do this much audience research, market research. If I want to know how you felt, I just think back to how I felt.
Yeah.
Right. And it may be a slim filter, but it's all about on. The pain is real for everyone, right? Shiny objects and being broke is the same feeling no matter what state you live in or what color you are, how far a business you're in. Being broke feels like being broke. So I focus on those things, and I help people, agency, coaches, and consultants.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I think that space in general in itself, it's $1 million industry. It's continuously growing, specifically the coaching. Every day there's new coaching programs, new offers just coming up left and right. So the demand is there. And the cool thing about it is that what you're offering is always going to be needed in the next 10, 20 years moving forward. Probably even forever, to be honest, just because of the way, there's always things, systems make the world run. So that's the beauty about getting into systems. Obviously, like any company, whether you're big or small, they have bottlenecks, right? So I'm curious to know, what are your specific bottlenecks in your business right now that you think you would consider as a bottleneck?
Still client, remember I was talking, there's only one of me. Yeah, duplicating authentic conversations, right? So when you saw and you came and approached me for a specific interview, whatever the case may be, you didn't want to speak to my assistant. No one else can be in this position and talk but me, right? When people come to you for specific design elements, it's easy to try to replicate those skills for others, but only you can actually do your design unless you're doing template stuff. So our bottleneck right now, we're having great conversations, but everyone wants to talk to me. right? Everyone wants to talk to me, but there's also clients to serve. So right now, what we're learning is the importance of balance. Everyone wants to scale, 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 scale. But what we're doing now is we're protecting our number, right? We've found a number that allows us to be comfortable, but also stretches and allows us to still strive towards our goals. And as long as we can still reach that number and maintain a quality of life and balance and freedom, we want to protect that. So we're not trying to scale our calendar. We're trying to scale our availability for our family and our friends. Cool. So our bottleneck right now has been, how do I have multiple conversations and duplicate that same experience when everyone came and bought a ticket to see me, or everyone came to book a meeting with me, right? And you will, and everyone reaches that point. So that's where the training courses and the things like that come into place. So that's been our biggest bottleneck, you know. So I'm very protective of our team and the conversation. So we have someone now in place pre-screening people, but even still, people will sometimes say whatever they need to say to speak to whoever they need to speak to be able to ask their question. Yeah, to get through. So even then, so now that authentic conversation feels more like that gatekeeper when I was in sales trying to talk to the CEO and the secretaries fending off calls. Now it almost feels like that. And for me, that's where I really have to take a step back, because how people come in determines a lot about what they do and how they leave. So if that first interaction has any friction or anything in it whatsoever, or any type of hesitance where it feels like we're trying to disqualify them rather than move them along, it already sets a negative energy, even if it's subconscious. So I'm trying to remove that from that process so people feel welcome. And it's almost like we're holding their hand across the bridge rather than playing traffic up. Right.
Yeah, you definitely take a unique approach than most people do. In my opinion. I mean, I'm in high ticket sales right now. And a lot of the times what we want to do is we want to weave out the tire kickers, right? The ones that basically disqualify people. Just because, there's always going to be a handful of people that aren't going to, you just can't serve for whatever reason, mindset, skill, ability, things like that, right? So you always got to protect also your team members' time and their fulfillment, right? Because you want to make sure that you're delivering and you work with the best of the best. So you say your biggest bottleneck right now is just duplicating yourself. And obviously, I can see why that's a big bottleneck. I mean, there's only one of you, and the way your sales process is right now is typically through inbound conversations, one-on-one, straight up, authentic. Let's build value first before we do business together. Do you think ultimately, is it going to be difficult for you to transition, or I guess, let me ask you a better question. What do you see how are you going to duplicate yourself ultimately? What's in the works?
Yeah, so what we're working on right now is educating our clients up front, right? I think the best client is an educated client, which means that the people who come in with the same questions over and over again, hey, we've systemized that with videos they watch before the appointment, frequently asked questions, things that we commonly come across with multiple people that allows them to be educated before they get onto the call. I understand when a person hasn't been educated before the call is because they come in asking questions like, what do you do? How does that work? Rather than questions more specific about how do I take my business from here to here, right? Because there's an understanding already of what we've done. So right now, my work is to put more educational based content up front, be more transparent, teach more up front, and kind of the opposite of what most people tell you, I guess the high ticket sales, we're going to start to do more courses, free trainings, free stuff up front, really give away the value. And then put people in a position to say, I know what to do, but I can't do it, don't have the time to do it, or don't want to learn how to do it. Will you do it for me? Those have been the highest paying type of positions for us and clients. So right now, it's been a matter of just putting multiple steps in front before the appointment to really educate people, but then stepping up our content creation on the front end, right? So that we are attracting people who are further down the build process and not so early in the process. If I'm putting up how to gain or how to build a landing page, that may bring someone who doesn't have a sales page, or something like that. But if I put in content that's how to maximize the lifetime value of your cart and increase your AOV over the next 90 days, only a handful of people who have experience or are at that level of business will then come in and understand what that is. That's not going to attract the same type of client. So instead of us scaling up the business by growing our team, we're going to scale up our potential clients, right? So they come in with more education. we're going to scale up our pricing so that it matches the higher level of clients that we come in. And we're going to change the conversation up front so that the conversation is further along when they come into our sales funnel, rather than being, what do you do? We're going to start having conversations that are middle of the meat conversations, which, I mean, we've already gotten past what do you do, how do you do? We're now talking about strategic ways to move you forward, right? So that's been for me, that's my plan. We've been implementing that very slowly, which is kind of why I've been so far off of social media. But ironically enough, even though I haven't been on social media so much, because of the systems and the comments that are already out there in place, we're still getting inbound conversations every week from people. Hey, what do you do? Can you do this? Can I get a quote for that? So it's good to know that if I don't want to comment for a week or 2 weeks, that the business still runs. And that's been the problem with most organic systems, is people say that you can't track them because it's organic, right? You don't have a measurable that you control, but we do, right? We understand more conversations, more comments equal more clients. So we keep those top of mind. So
yeah, I can definitely relate to that, because I remember I made a post a year ago related to Go High Level, where I would wanted to help people build their own snapshots or their own systems, right? Until this day, I still get some comments there. And I'm like, how is that even possible? You know, like, it's just like, it's like you're planting seeds that are continuously growing that you don't even know they're growing. But next thing you know, you just get a random comment or a message like, hey, I saw this post, like, you're still doing this. And that's the best. And that's awesome, man. That's a really good feeling, because like, holy, you know, it's just like you just turn into a client, right? Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome.
We're coming out with the program called One Post a Day. And it's not going to be live yet, but by the time this airs, it probably will be live. And it's simply that exact same process. It's how to turn comments into clients, how to turn conversations into closings, and how to do it by making one authentic post a day. We call it an ATM post, right? Where you're able to go in there and really talk to the right audience, create a transformation, and then monetize it. So it's ATM. And you can do that per post, where each post can be a different audience, right? Why do you have to only help one type of person? And that's what I believe, right? So that ATM post and that profit method, one post a day, will, it's like dollars in the bank, man, right? And YouTube videos.
One thing I wanted to ask was, because I know you mentioned before that you're planning on releasing a lot of free content, a lot of free training. Is this one? Well, remind me again the name of the program. One post comment or
one post a day.
One post a day. Is this going to be part of that free training that you're going to be releasing, or is this a paid program?
Yeah, so one post a day will have a free part up front and then a paid part in the back end, right?
Gotcha.
So, we're going to go through the methods and the frameworks in our content. And I will, I'm kind of out of breath from that diaper change. But I will say that with our free content, we will be teaching, what to do, why it's important. And then in our paid trainings, we'll be teaching the actual hands-on how to do it.
Gotcha.
Right? And taking you through the steps and how to do it, the mechanics. So, and I think that's always the best way to attract the best type of clients, because people who are truly looking for a solution, I mean, y'all hear it all the time. If you just tell me what to do and how to do it, I'll do it. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what to do. Where that's there for free. But if you want to know how to do it, then that's when you'll join the paid program. So. Yeah,
I love that a lot. I honestly, I think, dude, that's an awesome idea, because a lot of the times people don't want to be doing paying to play, right? Because a lot of times people have to pay to play, which is advertising on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, YouTube, Google, whatever the case may be, to hit that 5-10K per month mark at a sort of like fast pace, right? Because obviously nothing's easy, nothing's fast if you do it the right way. But I think that the way you're doing it is more of a genuine way, authentic way, that you're planting seeds everywhere you go, that you're just continuously just watering these seeds for the rest of, pretty much your career. So I think what you're doing, dude, is an amazing, dude, I honestly, when I came across your stuff, man, you're doing amazing things. And I definitely look up to the things that you do, like sincerely from the bottom of my heart. And I really can't wait to you to release all these stuff, because I'm going to be the first one to be like knocking on the door. Because I want to be able to use some of these things as well for myself. Because obviously every day I'm learning, every day I'm getting better, always looking to learn, meet new people like yourself, and just build that relationship and, just provide value, right? And so I know you're going to provide value no matter what. So let me try to think. I guess, obviously, besides that, one thing that I wanted to touch base on really quickly, systems and everything, right? You did mention that you're getting into speaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
can you talk to us a little bit about that, and how did you get to that part? That's a whole
It's so
different
funny.
animal.
Okay, look, there's so many things that we do so that we can do other stuff. That is the biggest trap in life. But to me, it's been one of the greatest blessings, right? So many times it's like, before I do this, I got to do this. Before I can make the video, I got to go get the backdrop. Or before I can do the video, I got to get a new mic. There's always something to do before we do what we got to do. And for me, speaking is what I wanted to do. Remember, I wanted to be a speaker. And I was speaking to kids. I was speaking at at-risk youth centers. I was speaking to homeless shelters. I had a story that took me from having everything in life that I ever possibly wanted to losing everything in a moment, when I was 14. And because of that, the troubles I had as a kid, I felt my calling was always go back and talk to kids and help them just have someone they could believe in. So when I did this, I was in school and I learned web design. That's what I was going to school for. And I was using that to build a speaking business. But it just, like I said, it wasn't going anywhere, right? But speaking has always been my heart and soul. As a result of trying to build that business, I came across the funnels, and that's when I started to, do my investigation. And here we are now, 24 years later, since, the incident that changed my life, where I'm still not speaking, right? That's been the crazy part, but it's led me down a path of systems and automations. And I've been a part of so many speakers' careers of helping them get launched and coaches and things like that. So I've been living vicariously through them.
Yeah.
And now I've come to a part where I realize that for the type of industry that I'm in, while everyone is relying on systems and things like that, I want to be able to speak into people. So our number one marketing angle, where you have, Russell Brunson talks about all these characters and things like that. You have the archetypes, whatever you want to call it. I'm okay with that. I believe in, some of that. But for me, I believe that in people. And I believe that inspiration and motivation packed with actual strategies that people can use can absolutely change someone's life. And I think if you give people the opportunity to understand what's possible and then show them that it can be done, then you create a space for them to grow, right? So in our marketing messages and our content, always inspirational. I'm always letting people know that you can do this. You're one step behind the person you just bought a product from. They just started 2 weeks before you, right? So I'm always motivating people, but I understand I don't want to take them to the top of the mountain and then let them figure out how to get down themselves or tell them to jump, right? So I want to make people, I want to give them the opportunity to grow. And so speaking and coaching is one of my things. Speaking is how I plan to reach my masses and allow my audios and my messages to really move people to think about what's possible. And then once they do, have the systems, the design, the agency, the tools in place to allow someone who decides, I want to quit my job in 2022 and just gets a microphone, opens their computer, and they're able to connect with people and do what they do without having to have all this crazy branding and all these crazy things and just people, right? And I think by using the spoken word and really speaking life into people's dreams, where everybody else's marketing message is, wait, you got to buy this by Friday. If you don't, you're going to miss out and you're going to lose for the rest of your life and you'll never get high ticket clients, or if you don't buy this software, your pages will always be wrong and you'll never have the right funnel. Instead of telling people and leading with a lack mindset or a message of fear, we're leading with an abundant message, that you have everything you need, most likely right now, to build the business you want. You just don't know how to put it all together. But it doesn't mean the pieces you have are wrong, outdated, or can't be used. You just have to know how to make that puzzle work for you, right? And that's the message that people start to look at the same problems they've had before. And instead of being, I can't solve this, or I can't build this business, or I can't close because I'm not a charismatic person like this, or, oh, I can never write this well. They start to look at, well, I can. How can I? And then that's where our tools, system trainings, programs, courses, memberships say, well, here's how, right? Here's how you do it. And not only if you buy it, but you're going to be into our family. You're going to be into this network where you're not just a customer or a client, where you become a part of the bigger mission, which is to help people help people. So I always tell people there's not a problem making money by helping people make money. That's a very admirable job, right? But most people call those people hustlers. Like, what do you really do? Well, I help you do what you need to do. And that's how I get paid. It's a mutual benefit, right?
Yeah.
That's why network marketing was a very lucrative business at some point. But speaking is the ultimate system. The words can be transcribed, recorded, copied, and they can live on forever, like a funnel or a video, and they can inspire generations to come. The message, though, that most people do is they want to speak and then leave, and get the accolades and get the claps. I want to speak and then hang out on the stage afterwards, after the show, talk to the people, hear their stories, put them in the right place. We're not just there to sell books and have you run to the back of the table. We're there to change lives. Yeah. That means you got to get down and dirty with people, which also means you can never be better than those you serve, right? I'm always willing to get down there and write the copy, make the page, do the research, browse the forums, because that's where the action is. Right?
Get in the trenches.
Yeah, and when people see that you're willing to do some of the things that they won't even do themselves for their own business, what do you mean Finley's going to sit down and do this? Like I've been procrastinating on that. There's a buy-in that happens, right? Because that's something that people don't get most often. Every high-ticket coaching program, I've heard a coach say these exact same words to me. You know what? I'm not going to want it more than you. You got to show up. You got to do the work, right? This is a game of action. And while I did believe that, I said, you have to want it more than me, because there'll be times that I don't even know what I want. And I'm going to come to you saying, help me, right? And you have to be able to dig deep and pull it out of me, or whatever you have to do as a coach I hired you for. You have to be more invested than I am, because I'm going to quit sometimes, right? And I knew that. And we're humans and we all know that.
Yes.
So my message has always been, you know what? When you don't believe, my cup's going to overflow and I'm going to believe enough for you, but I'm going to make sure you never fall, right? But you got to still walk. I can't carry you.
Right.
I'm not going to let you fall. There's no lesson in falling on your ass, right? There's no lesson in that. The lesson is the process, how are you responding? So, speaking is, you get fired up about speaking, right? Because it's definitely a window into people's world and their hearts.
Yeah. Yeah, 1000%. Going back to what you mentioned, like the whole, where coaches are like, I'm only going to put as much effort as you put in, right? Like if you put in 100%, I'll put in 100%. But there's going to be cases where people are going to take advantage of that, right? Like, how would you handle a situation like that? Like, and that's the reason, and I get both sides, your side and then the other side too, right? Because you can only help someone so much, right? It's like you can only lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink the water, right? So it's sort of like, how do you, in your eyes, how do you balance that? How do you draw the fine line? And you're like, you know what, dude, I can't help you because you can't walk. You're not walking. You know what I mean?
You know what? There's an integrity issue with coaches that definitely has to be addressed in the industry, right? And I'm not afraid to call it out. I'm not trying to be your paid friend, right? I don't need you to pay me just so we can meet and talk every month, right? That's not why I need you here. We can do that. I'll do that for free, right? Send me a message, man. I'm always available. What do you need help with, right? I'll shoot you a quick message. So it's a real different approach, right? But your vetting process is so important. If you're handling those issues with clients, that means your systems are not qualifying your leads correctly. You got to go tidy up your system, right? There should never be a point in interaction where you enter into an intimate relationship with someone where you don't know what you're getting into. You don't say I do to strangers, right? There is a vetting process. So, when you go out on a date with that person and, you thought you knew them and then they do something crazy out of the whack, it kind of throws you off. It's nerve-wracking. The same thing happens here. Our vetting process, most of the time, if I get someone who's in that position who isn't doing the work, it's not a reflection of me and my ability to coach, which is where most people will go, which is why they put that clause in there. I'm not going to want it more than you. So if you fail, it's not my fault, it's yours, right? I'm worried about that. I'm not worried about the liability of that, because I understand that if they have that issue, it's still tied to something that's going on with them, right? And the fact that they showed up to the game earns enough respect for me to show up for them. That's the hard part. right? People think that, oh, well, getting $10,000, that's anybody can, people can pay that. No, that's the hard part. That's easy, finance this, never, whatever. It's making a decision to move forward is the hard part. I have clients that for 2 or 3 weeks just won't do their homework. It's not a reflection of me being tougher on them. It's now time for them to start questioning themselves.
Yeah.
And that's again where the inspiration tank is on E. You got to understand, you don't have to wake my son up to go to Six Flags tomorrow morning. He will be up at 4 a.m. standing by the bed like that. Mm-hmm. It's 4 a.m. Let's go. Right. So like when you have inspiration, it changes. You beat the alarm clock. You're at the gym before everyone else. You're doing the things you need to do. Whenever I see people not taking the action they've committed to do, it's simply because there's been an imbalance of commitments with themselves, right? So, it's not about me. It's not about me. And I have fired clients before, but that's simply because the relationship has become abusive to themselves and to us, where either they miss multiple meetings, they don't show up at all, right? If you don't show up, I can't help you, right? Yeah. But if you come to practice, I'm going to assume you come to play. So, there's it's tough, man, because I think the one governing thing that really runs my business is I have a ceiling where some people think no ceilings. I know what I want from this aspect in this season of my life. I'm here for the long run, and I'm using this for other ventures, right? I'm using this for other investments, other nonprofits and businesses. I don't make all of my income from just coaching people. So you know what that means also? At the beginning, I said you got to be afraid to lose yourself. Well, in some cases, I'm not afraid to lose a client. I'm not afraid to say no to people who aren't qualified. But I'm also not in a position yet to give up on people.
Right.
I believe in people. I've seen people who aren't in my target audience pull out their credit card and buy the highest thing that I've ever offered before. And I would have never thought they did. I've seen people send me a message. I've talked to them for 5 minutes. They just ask me, what's your rate? Do you have a portfolio? No, I don't. What would it cost to build this? $5,000. What's the monthly cost? $7,000. Here's an invoice. And it's paid 20 minutes later. And I've never talked to that person any more than that.
Yeah.
And then I've had them for 3 or 4 months as a client. So I've learned not to judge people who walk in your store, right? You never know who's going to walk through your door.
Yeah.
Your job is simply to be open, have enough product and services that they can shop and browse, and be available when they're ready to check out. There better be somebody at that register when they're ready to check out. But if you stand outside your door and you're like, wait, sir, you're 34, we only 35 to 60 here, right? Or nope, you're actually a life coach, we only work with business coaches. Next. If that's the business model, you're so constringent up front, then I can see why it's so hard to get clients and get business. Yeah. Because you don't know people's wallet. And you don't know their story. And you never know what message someone may hear that gets them to turn from, being one way to believing in you. You never know what post that you read.
Yeah.
That made you say, hey, but I know the post that you read wasn't yesterday. This has been a seed that's been there, and you've probably watched and you've been a part of it. So, you never know. You never know. And it's really important to kind of always keep that in mind.
I love your perspective, man, because it's definitely like new. It's a newer perspective in the sense that not a lot of people view their business, or when it comes to coaching, the way you do. You definitely have a different perspective, different point of view. And I'm actually quite curious to know, like, obviously, the biggest thing that as business owners, a lot of the times you're stuck in the day-to-day. You can have the best systems in the world. One thing I was just curious to know a little bit more about is like, a little bit about your work-life balance. Definitely curious to know a little bit about that, because you invest a lot into your clients.
Yeah. Schedule your family time first, right? It's always important. And some people take that for granted, but schedule it. Like literally go into your calendar, block it out. And people won't, because they feel like that makes them a bad person. I have to schedule my family time. Well, if you don't, it'll go away. You won't have it.
I 100% agree with that, man. I tell my girlfriend too, like when there's an appointment or we have to do something, just send a calendar invite, just put it on my calendar. And to her, it seems weird. It's like, why do I have to do that?
Yeah, they don't understand it.
Yeah. But it's just like you just have to, because like, you know, you're just in a day to day, especially if you're on sales calls every single day, you need to see that on your calendar to actually make time for it. Or
You
else
know,
you can go out and do other things like follow up or whatever the case may be, you know?
you know what? Also, I tell my, it's so funny, man. We spend so much time trying to get time to spend time with those that we love the most, right? Isn't
Yep.
that crazy?
That's
We'll
insane.
work 16 hours a day to try to, for this illusion of having more time. I'll tell you this, what changed my life is one of my mentors told me, if you don't do it today, you won't do it tomorrow. And that was really important. You know, so many times I'm like, when I have time, I'll take you to the park. You know, when I was a younger, I told you I have a 21-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Yep.
Learn from my mistakes. You know, when I have money, I'll donate to charity. When I have time, I'll go help kids and pick up trash. And my mentor was like, man, if you don't do it now, you're not gonna do it later. He's like, why don't you go do it now? And I realized the same thing with my family. It's like, well, when I make a bunch of money, we'll have more time and I'll be off and all this other crazy things, man. And I realized that no matter how much time that I spend with them, there's always enough time to get done what I have to get done. There's always enough time, right?
Yep.
What there's not enough time to do is make up for lost time. There isn't. There's not enough time in the world that could go back and give 2 years if I missed it with her, right? It's never going to change. So if you start to think in terms like that, and you realize that this isn't a race, this isn't a game, this is life. We're dealing with people and their emotions. The number one people and clients we serve is our family, right? And if we can't serve them, we're not doing the best. I will leave by saying this, man. If you ever spend more time or treat your clients or your business better than you treat your family, there's definitely some imbalance going on, right?
Yeah.
There shouldn't be conversations where you're super nice to your family and super mean or mad or disgruntled, or super nice to your clients and mean and disgruntled with your family because of work. That's your tribe, right? And if that doesn't motivate you to do better and go harder, then you're in the wrong business.
Oh, man, that in itself is just, for anyone that's hearing that, I mean, go back and listen to what he just said. That's awesome, man.
Her time is probably the most protective time I have. And right now we're spending daddy time. And she's supposed to be taking a nap. So I kind of in parts, but she woke up and took back over. But I mean, this from 2 to 5, that's what we do. You know, we are hanging out. She's awake. Mom's normally here. But yeah, man, I mean, she's the motivation. So I cannot deny her time to go work on my business to give time back to her later. That doesn't make any sense, man. It never made any sense for me. And so she comes first, they come first. Even if I got to stay up late to work, I don't care.
Yep.
I'm not going to miss them. I'm not going to miss their time. So,
man.
You know what's so funny? I just tell my clients I have prior engagements. It's that simple. Nobody asks, well, what are you doing? No, I have prior engagements at 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, I can't make that time. I'll be at the park and eating McDonald's, but I got prior engagements. Yeah. And that's all it takes. And people, they understand it.
You got to protect your time. You got to protect it. No one else is going to protect it for you.
I work with the type of clients and talk with people that I can have my daughter like this, which I don't prefer all the time to be here in the meetings, but I work in a business in a world where I've created an image for people. And if your dog's barking or if you got to do a phone call in the bathroom, that's the only place you have quiet because your kids are running around crazy. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I'm not here to judge you or anything like that. I'm not the guy that's so big that I'm above any of that. Like, we're people. And if I met you in a bar, we could be talking at the table. Right? So I really do appreciate people's story, and I appreciate the non-business part of marketing. Yeah. I know, I'm sorry. All right, we're gonna have to go because she does not want me in here now. She's like,
it's all right, no worries. Well, before we sign off, how can people find you if someone wanted to work with you or just get in contact with you? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Just send me a message on Facebook.
Facebook?
Yep, that's probably the best way. You can check out oneposttoday.com, and that'll be up for us here. Oneposttoday.com will be ready probably by the end of November. So you'll start seeing content for us soon.
Awesome. Very cool. Awesome. All right, my brother. Appreciate the time.
And we got to do it again sometime.
I'll do this again, 100%. No worries.
Have a good one.
Take it easy. Have a good one.
Let's go fly.